Good evening, Dragon Nation, and welcome to the Game Day Show here at Fairland's Jim Mayo Stadium. We're inside here tonight, inside the weight room. It's raining just a little bit off and on outside, so we didn't want to lose any camera stuff. So we come inside. We're going to be joined by Coach Jackson here in just a second. Kind of a recap last year's game up at Wellston. I can't remember what the score was. It wasn't close. They had a lot of turmoil going into the game. Their head coach resigned at 3 p.m. We come rolling in there late. I don't think we got in there till about 6:45. We had to warm up in the neighbor's yard because some guy was parachuting the ball in from an airplane. So a lot of craziness went on up there last year. And like I say again, their head coach steps down at 3 p.m. They got to scramble and get an assistant coach to come in and do all that. I can only imagine what was going through those kids' heads with everything going on. So I think this year is going to be a completely different matchup for us here. Wellston's coming in 1-0, got a big win over 12-9, I believe it was, over Oak Hill, which is a TVC win for them. Or no, sorry, SOC. Oak Hill's in the SOC. Wellston's in the TVC. So it was a good win for them last year, 1-0. As we get Coach Jackson here to join us. Coach, we just kind of started off there, and we talked about the crazy turmoil with them last year up there, losing their head coach right before the game and some different things. Going to be a completely different matchup this year for you guys. You're both coming in here 1-0. Tell us a little bit about Wellston, some things you've seen on film with some kids, possible.
They got two really good offensive linemen that like to trap a lot, and if our linemen get upfield, they're going to pay the price. 78 and 77 does a good job of trapping. The quarterback runs the ball real well, number one. And number 14 looks to be a tough little kid. Number 15 is a good athlete. So they definitely much improved from last year and solid. I mean, didn't look like many penalties on film. So, they're disciplined, and the coach got him going in the right direction up there.
Right. And Coach he's been around Wellston system. He's been assistant football coach. I know he's been the head basketball coach. I believe he took over right after Coach Darrow had stepped down. And then I know he's coached baseball. So he's familiar with Wellston and their system. And like you said, he's getting things turned around. I did hear some people talking down there. I guess they got a pretty good sized tackle.
Yeah, 78.
Yeah.
70. They're both good size.
Yeah.
Good-sized guys.
What are we looking for, Coach? Are Wellston going to throw the ball? They're going to try to power run? What are they going to try to do?
They're going to try a power run.
Power run.
They're a Codgers out shotgun.
Oh, okay.
That's what they are, basically.
Right.
Codgers out shotgun is what you're looking for.
As we look back at last week, a big come-behind victory, and we don't want to dwell on a lot because, we've got a big game tonight. Big victory for you guys down at West last week. You had some key offensive players. Peyton Jackson, your son, game-winning touchdown on 4th and 15. As time expires, you got Christian Collins makes an unreal block on the sideline. Bryson Hunt, offensively, special teams. Bryson kind of got you in that position. He picked up a big 4th and a big 12 or 13 there at the middle of the field.
Yeah, they'd sacked us on the first play, and Peyton can't take that, and he's got another to throw that away. And then second down, he did throw it away. So now we're 3rd and 18, and we figured they wouldn't give us nothing deep. Let's sprint him out. They'll give us a 10-yard out. Let's get half of it.
Right.
4th down, try to get it. And Bryson got past him. Peyton flipped his hips and threw it to him, and then we got down there and then made a couple of mistakes around the goal line. And, we had, a minute 23, and we still finished the game with a timeout. You know that?
Right.
I had a timeout left to finish the game. So, that last play was designed to go to Bryson, and then that safety cheated over. Peyton saw it, I guess, and the rest is history, as they say, right? But, of course, it was a great moment for the team, and a great moment as a dad for your kid to do that in your first game. But also for me, him scoring the touchdown in the corner where all you guys are standing, all the former coaches, Killer's going nuts, y'all's going nuts, Coach Harris is going around with his hands up forever, I mean, what better ending to your first game could I have had? You tell me, I don't know.
Coach, I was thinking about how exciting that was and the all-time historical moments in Fairland football about where that ranked up there, and I'm going to have to rank it second. Behind the homecoming Queen's kick against Nelsonville York in the playoffs, baby.
Oh, yeah, because that goes to the Sweet 16, you know.
Yeah. So, but I'll tell you, it was great. I watched the momentum switch in the third quarter when they cut a 12-point lead from 26-14 to 26-21, and then they put those fresh legs in there. That little number 9.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he was running hard.
That's that Bishop's little brother. He's going to be good.
Yes, he is going to be a dandy. And then they took the lead, and I thought, holy cow, we've only got a minute and 20 seconds left. And what an ending.
Yeah.
I was so happy for you being your first game, and I was down in Portsmouth West in my first game. Of course, it wasn't as exciting as that one, but I'm telling you, I'm just super happy for Peyton and the whole team.
Yeah, and Christian,
my old quarterback.
I didn't see it live, but watching the video, you know, of Christian just putting that kid in the ground.
I didn't see that. I didn't see
no,
that.
I was watching the ball.
I was watching Peyton's feet, and then Pete was going 90 miles an hour.
We put it back in slow motion. Of course, you know, we rise up to 4 a.m, you know,
Right.
and that backer tripped his ankle, and he just stumbled a little bit, and then Christian made that block. But you're right, Coach. We had the chance to put the game away. We're up 2 scores, and we have 2 chances
Right.
in the red zone, and we get a couple penalties, make a couple mistakes, and that's what we've preached this week in practice. You know, we get a chance to put our foot on somebody's throat, we got to finish it. So,
Coach, I wanted to ask what Coach Harrison and I talked about second half. It looked like you didn't have your horses in there on defense in the second half.
well, we had a few cramping up, a few tired, and I'll take part of the blame on that. You know, let's go back to our scrimmages, and I'm not making excuses by no means, but just me trying to think what I do wrong conditioning, you know what I mean? Because we go fast, everything we do. Well, we went to Fairview, and our offense played 21 plays. We scored 5 touchdowns, so it was like our offense. We didn't have the drives, you know what I mean? There's all Memphis, we played like 30 plays of offense, you know what I mean? At Portsmouth West, we played 83 plays of offense.
Did you all play that many?
Yes. So
I didn't realize that.
So part of that, I'll take the blame for that. I probably wasn't as good a shape as what I thought we were, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't prepare my team good enough, so that won't happen again. Yeah, I'm just a rookie. Maybe I'll learn a little bit, you know. But,
You can use that excuse for 2 more games, Coach.
no, I'm not using it. There's one. But, no, I'm not trying to make excuses, but looking back at the fact, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, you know. And it's always good to score in them 1-2 play drives, but I think it hurt us. You know, I didn't.
Well, you know, Coach Harrison and I and Coach Gorby, we've all talked about, even when Coach was my defensive coordinator, I hated for my defense to be on the field. I did, because I always felt like offense is your best defense. As long as you got the ball and you're controlling things,
Right.
It's good. But it is good to have a quick strike, but you also need to think about time management. And people at home don't realize you just got to put all these pieces together.
You know, they always say there's 22 positions on a football field. No, there's 77. You know what I mean? You got your offense, defense, you got 5 special teams. And there's really more than that, because then if you want to you got a hands team, you know what I mean? So there's 88. So that's 88 positions going in your head nonstop, wondering what am I going to do in this situation. So
All right.
it's a lot.
Coach, we appreciate you coming on. I know you got to get out there for pregame.
Yep.
Good luck to you tonight. Again, about 3 hours, we're going to see you out there in
That's
the
all
winner's
right.
circle.
Let's do it. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck, Coach.
Good luck tonight, brother.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck. You know, as we talk about some things there, we talk about tonight's matchup with Wellston. You know, as Coach Harris was sitting here with us, Fairland's had some storied games against Wellston. Not necessarily maybe football. I know you and I had one out there.
Well,
I think it was like 1918 or something crazy out there.
But we played terrible.
We played terrible that night.
I mean,
we played terrible, and it rained. Gosh, it rained. It was nasty. I remember pouring water out of my wallet after that game. It rained so bad. You know, and Coach, a little bit, you know, Coach Harris had a great basketball game against them back in 1991, 1992, somewhere in that area. 91. 92-90 is a final in regulation up in a district final. So, you know, there's a little bit of storied history there to them. This is the last year we're going to play Wellston in football. Next year we'll be picking up. We'll be going to Point Pleasant in week 2. As our schedule starts to change just a little bit next year with Ironton making some adjustments and and not being in the OVC and football only, we're actually going to be playing Ironton in week 8. So next year in week 3 in that Ironton spot, we're actually going to be going to Fairfield Union.
Oh, wow.
So that game's going to be on a Saturday night.
That's
where Chad Bellaw's at. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Andy
Clark's the new head coach up there. So we got some familiarity with those guys up there, and we thought it'd be a great idea to play a home and a home. So we're going to go up to Fairfield Union next year, and then the following year they're going to come here in week 3. So as we look at the schedule coming up for the OVC, we know, some big games going around in the OVC. What is some of the things here as we start looking at week 1? We know Colgrove got a win last week. Now they play Lucasville Valley tomorrow, who's traditionally a good team.
Well, Portsmouth thumped them, though, the first week
Right.
on that Thursday. Coach Harrison and I ran into the Portsmouth coaching staff last Friday night, and they were pretty happy, weren't they,
Right.
Coach? They just said they just
thumped them.
yeah.
Right. And then you got Portsmouth West. I can't remember whether this is an 8 o'clock game tonight or they moved it to noon tomorrow. I can't remember what Joe Albrecht told me, but that's going to be a great ball game, and that's going to show a lot about where are we at. What's that game going to be? That's a rivalry game. What are they separated there by 5 miles?
Is it even 5 miles?
I don't think it's that much.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't really do. You
It's
just
only 7 miles from the river, and from the river to Portsmouth West. The river's just right across the street from
Us in the river.
Portsmouth High School.
And I know Gallipolis has got Athens tonight. Those of you who don't know, Coach has been talking about this steak from the river now. What are we going on? 8 days now? We've heard about this.
we talked about it last year. What are you talking about?
Hey, there's only one steak that I've had better than the river, and that's my son-in-law, Keith Donahue. That boy can flat fix a steak. It's so tender you cut it with a fork. But anyway, there are some key, how did Gallipolis do last week? I don't know anything about it.
Gallipolis got a win last week.
I didn't even see anything about Gallipolis, and
Gallipolis
I
got a win
love
last week.
We
They
got them
played on
coming up
Saturday night.
soon. Trimble was young last year, and we thumped them pretty good. They got to come here.
Trimble they're in kind of a weird situation. They were supposed to play Hannibal River tonight. Hannibal River got a bunch of kids sick, so that game got canceled tonight. So Trimble is off. They're going to take the bye week. Trimble's not. We got them 2 weeks. We got Ironton next week. Ironton's got a big matchup tomorrow in their Ironton Classic against Jackson.
Right, and that game came down to the wire last year.
The last 2 years.
Jackson
Well,
had 'em
actually,
beat.
Yeah.
think about it. Ironton was down, I think, 2 touchdowns, right? Beginning of the second half, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And I think Jackson kind of gave the ball game away.
And 2 years ago, Jackson scores with under 30 seconds left, kicks the ball off, and they return that kickoff for game-winning touchdown.
Yep.
Wow.
It's been a 3-point game the last couple years. So again, they're in a pretty good dogfight coming in before we get to play them next week, and then afterwards they're going to play Cabell Midland at the Joan C. Edwards Stadium in week 4. So
That's on a Saturday, and it's on ESPN.
right. Yep.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it
And I believe the South Point's got Alexander tonight. I believe is who they had.
Is that right?
And
Was that, or was that a Chesapeake?
One of them has.
Chesapeake is
Chesapeake.
playing.
Senior moment.
Yeah,
It's all
we're
right.
having a senior
I'm
moment.
having one, too.
I didn't do my homework this week, so
I looked at it, but I just
right.
you know how it's been
Right.
today.
Oh yeah, it's been one of those days. As we go back and we kind of start looking back at last week, we had some key moments, some key plays. We'd mentioned Peyton Jackson's. He was 17 of 33, I think it was, for 210 yards, a touchdown. He had a couple rushing touchdowns. The big touchdown at the end. Bryson Hunt had a big game receiving. Quentin Kermeans and Cam Kitts rushing, carrying the football. Those guys offensively led the Dragons, and everybody was involved. I mean, it wasn't like we only had 2 or 3 kids. Keegan Smith getting some receptions, Christian Collins getting some big blocks, getting some receptions. So we kind of passed the rock around quite a bit. Defensively, we sat here and we talked about Tristan Daly in the first half. He was getting in the backfield. He was playing well. We think he come up. We think he'd come up a little bit with some cramps or something. Didn't play a lot in the second half. Quentin Kermeans, we'd already talked about him offensively. Defensively, as a middle linebacker, him and Ryan Dixon played well. Even in the secondary, we seen C.J. Graham come up with some big tackles. Cam Kitts in the secondary. And then, again, we mentioned Bryson Hunt on special teams. What stood out to you guys? I know you were.
Well, I want to talk, and Coach Harrison and I have talked about this. But I want to talk about quarterback play, and I want to talk about how the quarterback has changed. You know, when I was in school, the quarterback was the game manager. Would you not agree with that, Coach?
Sure.
Told people where to go, where to hand off. Right. Now your quarterback isn't. He's a playmaker.
Right.
But he also has to be a game manager at the same time. And I want to talk about Peyton Jackson, because this is the kind of kid Peyton Jackson is. I walk in this summer up to the farm, and there's Peyton Jackson working his tail off, doing tomatoes, helping everybody out, unloading the wagon. How many guys do you know are out working, busting their butt like that?
Not a lot, and he comes from that. He comes from that honest. Michael was a hard worker. He worked on the farm, grew up there where he grew up at. His
Federal
dad,
Creek.
Yeah, on Federal Creek. His dad was an outstanding man and
hard worker.
I think that his teammates know what a hard worker he is, and I think that rubs off on them.
Yeah, and I don't think, being in high school with Michael and stuff, and Roger being around, I don't know that there was anybody in Southern Ohio that could outwork Roger Jackson. When he was here, he helped build the bleachers over there. Just an outstanding man. He passed away early, and that was a loss for the Fairland community.
Yes, it was.
Just a true loss. I seen a team were going by there. We forgot to give Jack Hayden. Jack Hayden played well too.
Yes,
he had
he
some
did.
Big receptions. I just saw him going by here a while ago. Ethan Stewart on the line, Cooper Charles, Dylan Stone. Those guys all played great ball games. Now let's hope that it translates into another big win tonight.
Yeah,
Well,
we can't be looking past Wellston.
Right.
No.
You know, they won a pretty big defensive battle last
Right.
week. They only won 12-8.
Right.
And that was against Oak Hill. And the paper was talking about how stout their defense was. So we've got to go out there and move that thing up and down the field and put some points on the board, and I think we'll be okay.
I agree. And like you said, you don't want to be caught in that. This is one of those catchy games, stub your toe games. You're looking ahead. You know it's going to be a huge matchup next week. You're coming off a big victory. So you don't want to stub your toe. You don't want to get caught up in the moment and lose a game that you shouldn't lose, because it's very important with the play. Even though that we went to 16 teams right now in the playoffs, those playoff points are very important.
Absolutely. And, Coach, you'll bring it up. I know the last year you and I were together coaching. We went out to Tulsa. We're 2-0. They're 0-2. They shouldn't have been on the field with us.
No.
But they played inspired ball that night. Somebody out there had died that had been, I guess, there since the program had started.
Correct.
And they played lights out, and we played lethargic. And we ended up losing the game out there. I think we had 2 touchdowns called back.
Right.
On us, but you're right. They've got Coach. They got to be focused with Wellston. They can't be looking ahead. Yes.
Trap game.
And that's one of the things. I was talking to Mr. White today, our assistant band director, and he asked me about the game tonight. And I said, you can't say, it's going to be an easy victory or whatever, because that's why we play these every Friday night. And we see some of the craziest things go every Friday night. I can't remember the school in Ohio. They had lost 45 straight, and they beat Mechanicsburg, which was a defending D2 state champion or whatever. Mechanicsburg had won 26 straight. The other team hadn't won a game in 4 years, and they upset them. I believe it was 29-28, went for 2 right there at the end. So that's why you go out and play every night. You can't just create a schedule and go, all right, well, we're going to be 18-2, or we're going to be 10. Basketball, you're going to be 18-2. Football, we're going to be 10-1, and let's go. But we got to go out and play every single night.
And here's what you got to realize too, folks at home. These kids are students first. And you don't know what's going on in their life on a daily basis. One day they may come in and be the happiest thing on the earth, and the next day don't even want to talk to you.
Right.
And that's just with kids. So you got to be guarded as a coach. You've got to be able to pick these things up. And your teammates have to be able to pick this thing and pick them up and say, come on, let's go.
Oh, I agree. It's one of those things, as we go. I'm going to have to step off of here. The officials need to talk to me for a few minutes. So I'm going to let you guys wrap it up. You got about 10 minutes left. I know you guys can fill
Coach,
there.
we'll kill 5. How's that? And that'll give us a chance to walk up the steps.
Well, wait till he goes out the door. We'll quit when we want.
That's true. Hey, we might have to stop and get something to eat at the concession stand on the way up.
You might.
No.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm going to take this opportunity right now to wish my youngest granddaughter, Miss Frankie June Donahue, a very happy 3rd birthday. I just came from her birthday party over here. That's where you got that plate of food from, buddy.
You weren't supposed to talk about that.
Brittany, make him give you one of those pepperoni rolls. Anyway, had a great little party for Frankie, and she is just one of the lights of my life, man. We have a ball each and every day. Of course, my wife Peggy watches her every day when they're at work, and that's 5 days a week, and sometimes 6 or 7. But Frankie loves to come in and play with Pappy. We just get after it, wrestle, and have pillow fights, and she'll say backpack. When she says backpack, it means she wants to get on my back, and I have to pack her around.
Oh.
But we have a blast. So happy birthday, Frankie. Pappy loves you.
You're enjoying it. Cool. Well, Coach, what do you think about the game tonight? Because I know when we get upstairs, we're going to talk about some other games around the OVC. But what do you think about this one tonight?
Well, I'm sitting here listening to you guys talk about when you played them and last year, and I've never seen Wellston play a football game, so I'm not going to have a whole lot to say about other than it could be a trap game. And if he's got a couple big linemen, and Portsmouth West, if they saw the film, they saw the left side of our defense get exploited there in the second half, and they may want to try to exploit it themselves, and we better be ready. Our linebackers have to take a little better angle, and we have to get people on the ground. And
you're right. They got to scrape better.
And this is a night where turnovers could be big, Coach.
Absolutely. In this wet weather?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you this. The thing that I remember about Wellston is they'd always hit you. Now, they didn't do anything fancy.
Right.
But they'll just line up, and it used to be smash mouth. I don't know what they're going to do now, but it used to be just line up and run it at you.
Well,
now, Coach Jackson
says there's nothing but Cold Grove out of the shotgun.
Well,
so it sounds to me like they're going to try to pound us on the ground, pretty much like Portsmouth West.
Coach, we got another visitor over here in the locker room. Dave Walsh from the Herald Dispatch is here, graced us with his presence.
Oh, Dave and I go way back. How you doing, Dave?
We got to talk to this guy. This is the guy I always.
What is this? Is this Wellston or Michigan?
Everybody thinks WU. I said not wrong.
Well, you're a Marshall guy. Come on.
I went to the press box, right?
Yes.
Okay, Wellston, Fairland coaches on the far end, something like this. Maybe Wellston radio got 4 spots.
4?
4 spots in radio there, some there, some there. I saw Gorby. I said, Jesus, let me set up here. I'll walk the sideline and sharp. And then I can help you work.
You can come sit. You can come sit with us.
Sit up with us if you'd like.
We're in the first box right next to it. Come up sit with us.
The first box is Wellston coaches, and then us. We're next in the open area.
TV setup.
Yeah, so TV's right there for us.
I said, there's a chair right here with nobody in it. Looks like. Most of the time I see radio TV people, they stand in.
Well, it's up to you. Come up and stand behind us.
I'll see how the half goes. If I get pissed, I'll come on.
Yeah,
All
come
right.
on up, especially if it starts raining.
Well, I got my ball. But it's just, it was weird. I mean, there's no room in the end. I'm like, okay, you've got TV, you've got radio. On a scale of 1 to 10, like 11. First thing happened tomorrow. Where's the Fairland story in the paper?
Yep.
Won't be the radio, won't be your TV. Where's the paper story? Well, I don't know. You got trapped in a high roof somewhere.
We'll get you up there. You just come up with us. We'll make. Hey, you might get some good fried chicken from downstairs too. You just never know.
Oh, they're having pulled pork tonight, Coach.
Oh,
I want to tell everybody
folks,
that.
Hey, Coach, just give them the menu
John
tonight.
King
Everybody
is
get
supposed
here.
to be the grill master, and him and my son-in-law Matt Whitley are selling. They're going to be selling pulled pork sandwiches as well as pulled pork nachos.
Well, if they
You'll probably
bring them
be
up, they're
down
going to
there
have to.
halftime.
No, they have to bring them up, but we have to get us an apron.
Oh, I'm going to tell you what. I'm so full right now. from the
You'll be
birthday
eating in
party.
30 minutes. Jerry, how much time we got?
We're ready.
All right, Coach, let's get out of here. Folks,
Yeah.
give us
some time
about,
to get
what do you
ready.
think, 10 minutes?
Yeah, 10. Yeah, about 10, 15
We'll
minutes tops.
hit the other link on YouTube on the Fairland Sports Network. Fairland Dragons Network, sorry, Coach.
Yeah, if they go to
Senior
YouTube
moment.
and
Go to YouTube,
type
type
in Fairland football, they'll get it.
That's right. Hey, we want to thank Coach Harris here. We want to thank Coach Jackson for Coach Harris, myself, and Jerry Bell. We'll see you next time. Tune in here in 10 minutes on the other link, and we'll catch you for the ball game.
And we'll let you know about next week's game later in the week.
That's right.